It is a wall leaning overhead reach. So I'm leaning against the wall. I'm not in a full wall sit. I'm just kind of posted up here against it, slight bend in the knees so I can get heavy on the wall without my legs doing a ton of work. Looking to just get my low back roughly flat against the wall. It doesn't have to be pushed against it, but the purpose of being against the wall here is to know where my low back is in space. From there, I'm gonna grab a light band to start. Elbows are gonna tuck into my sides, and I'm gonna broaden my shoulders without shrugging up and without my low back coming away from the wall. I'm gonna broaden the shoulders, elbows tight to the shirt, palms up to the ceiling grip in the band, little pull apart. From there, I'm gonna keep the pull apart and I'm gonna reach up and forward and then up over my head, imagining that I'm trying to touch the wall behind me and then back down. If you're a little tight in the thoracic spine, like I am, you might not actually touch the wall. That's okay. The goal is not to touch the wall on this exercise, but to feel control through the shoulders without your low back kicking in. So a few more tips here. So we have the low back against the wall, maybe a slight brace the core is okay, but not so much you have to hold your breath. Then I started saying we want to get, before I do anything with the band, I want to get my chest broadening and opening without shrugging up. So I find in a lot of shoulder issues, as we start using the shoulder blades, most people don't even realize it, but they're a little bit elevated. It's no coincidence, a lot of people say they carry stress up here. And so as they draw their shoulders back, they actually draw them back and up a bit. I'm kind of turning so you can maybe see what my shoulder blades are doing. And we want to be able to open lower rather than higher, but often when I find people learn to do that, they come lower and they just use their low back as kind of a substitution. So the first goal of this exercise is to feel the wall in your low back. Don't worry about the band yet, it's just in my hands. Elbows in close to my shirt, and can I open and broaden without shrugging up? So that's just something to practice if that feels a little foreign to you. Feel how low can your shoulders get? How far, how much space can we get between shoulder and ear while opening without the low back doing it instead? From there, we're gonna get the rotator cuff, the external rotators in particular, kicked in. And we're gonna do that by keeping the elbows close to the shirt and then pulling apart. I find if we don't cue that elbows in close, most people will come out like this, and that's using more of the deltoid and maybe actually some of the internal rotators, which isn't quite the goal of this exercise. So I'm gonna come elbows in tight to my shirt and pull apart, trying to not have much daylight between my shirt and my elbows at all. So a lot going on there at first, but don't overthink the technique cues. We're just opening and broadening, not shrugging up, pulling apart with elbows in close. From there, I'm gonna reach up over my head, and I wanna imagine that my forearms are vertical and my elbows not flaring out. So when I get tension on the band wants this to happen. So I wanna keep my elbows underneath the vertical line here. You can do this in front of a mirror, that's sometimes helpful. So I want my forearms vertical, not coming out. And then I'm reaching, kind of, the motion is forward and up over my head. This gets the rotator cuff engaged through range of motion, also engages some scapular muscles, including the serratus anterior, which can be really helpful to work for a variety of reasons around the shoulder. And that should be pretty challenging, especially as you come overhead. Definitely, I'm feeling some work there. And then finally, the goal is not to touch the wall behind you. The wall is just a kind of external cue. I know it's there. I'm almost imagining I'm trying to punch the wall with my knuckles flat against the wall. If my elbow goes out, then I'm going to give it a glancing blow. And so I'm going to come up, imagine I'm going to bop the wall there. But a lot of folks might not get there, because to be able to get there without using my low back, I need quite a bit of thoracic mobility, and I'm intentionally restricting the low back here. It's not bad as we reach overhead to have a little arch in the low back, just a matter of degrees. And so if you don't reach the wall here, don't worry about it. We're really more worried about not having the elbow flare out to the side. So you might feel like you're forcing your elbows in as you go up. It should feel a lot of work out through this area. So that about covers it. Just to review quickly, leaning against the wall, low back gently pressing, or at least not moving away from the wall as we go. And then I'm gonna open and broaden, as I'm driving my shoulder blades down. I don't have to stay rigid there the whole time, but I want to find that position to start, then pull apart, and then like I'm trying to boot the wall with the flats of my knuckles at the top. That's going to help to keep my elbows right underneath my wrists and back down. You might have to start with quite a light band here. So this is almost too much for me, a fresh light band with two sides on the loop. And so sometimes I'll cut this so it's just one length of the light band to start, because we're really challenging some muscles that often are a bit underworked, and also we're isolating them. So this is never going to be really heavy exercise. It can often be fatiguing even after practicing it for a while, still with pretty light resistance.